Hello, everyone. Welcome to the One Podcast. I am so excited about my guest today. I adore her. I've done some work with her, and I'm fascinated by what she does, where her work has reached, how she does it, how led she is by it. I'm going to let her jump right in and tell you all about herself. Her name is Micela Mabel. Now, there's a chance by the time you actually see this, her name may be something different, but this is part of what she does and what makes her so absolutely fascinating to me. So I will make sure that we consistently update your name when it changes, but we'll also give you ways to reach her and find her. So if you happen to hear her name at the beginning and it doesn't match up with what you see at the time, you're going to understand why by the end of this interview. So I have been blessed to do some work with her, but one thing that she is absolutely so gifted at is name coding. I want you to talk a little bit about the background of what you do, how you got involved with that, and then teach us a little bit about name coding or whatever you feel led to share. And then I'll jump in with some questions.
Okay, hi, I'm so happy to be here. So, my name is Michaela, and yeah, Mabel is my last name at the moment. And yeah, sometimes I change my last name, but I always keep my first name. So, that's the thing. But it's because I like to research in what I'm doing, and I'm all about name coding. There is energy in names. We just feel it. When you want to find a new name to your child or your dog or your cat or something, you just like, no, that's not it. That's not it. We just feel it, right? There is something about names where there is energy into it. So it's not only association, we feel like it's bright or it's like solid, or there is something in the energetics of a name. And I'm very fascinated about that. And so back when I was 21, I took the education as a numerologist. And since then, it's been 17 years now. And since then, I have been working with numerology and have experienced a lot of different systems. And because of all the systems, I have actually crafted my own system within all the systems, and just based on evidence, on research and research and research and research, because I wanted to work every single time. So that's the reason why I want to be embodied in it. So that's the reason I'm sometimes recode myself again and again and again. But my clients don't, only me.
Okay, for anyone who's new to any of this, if you're watching this on YouTube or if you're hearing this on a podcast, so she studied numerology 17 years ago and was absolutely so fascinated by it that she went on a deep dive and studied all sorts of systems. Everything you can find out there that has anything to do with numerology and energy. And then she created her whole entire system. And what is so fascinating, like she was just saying, when you're even thinking about naming your dog, and especially when you're thinking about naming your child, think back to that moment. You're thinking of names. What are we going to name her? What are we going to name him? And then you'll get this intuitive hit. No, that doesn't even feel right, even before you've even met your baby. And then I remember every time I've named pets, because I don't have children, we would look at our pets and I'd be like, that's not the name. That's not the name. But there is something to that. And she has made this her entire life's work in such a detailed, in depth fashion. And we met in a coaching group. We're working with the same mentor. And I remember the first time I heard name coding, I'm like, what in the world is that? Tell me about name coding. Then I ended up taking one of your courses. And this is what I want people to understand. There's literally so much in your name, in the spelling of your name. There's so much in your birth date. There's so many details about you that all comes back to numerology and the way she's done her systems. And what she's saying about how she changes her name, she just says she doesn't take that lightly. It's not, oh, today I'm going to change my last name. When I first met you, she had added a letter into her first name to experience the differences in the energies and the coding in that name to deepen her relationships with her clients. That was so mind boggling to me that you would take the time and the effort to actually change up your own I think you added an H at the time or something, and to change up her own name to experience some of what her clients were going through. And this has to do with self-belief, self-love, money, all sorts of things, right? You've worked with incredibly fascinating people too. So tell us a little bit about what you do and what you love the most about what you do.
Okay, it's a big question. I could.
Oh, I know. I don't know how I'm going to fit this in 1 hour. I get so excited. I'm sure you guys can tell. I'm so excited about her. I love her work, and you're going to be fascinated. So we might have to have you on for round 2 or 3 or 7. Keep going.
Okay, what I love about what I do is we can literally change life path like in a second. And I think it's extremely fascinating. And everything around who we are and how we experience ourselves in our life, we change it just like in a second when the new name is approved. And think about it, when you get married, like remove a middle name or anything, every time we change some part of our name, a shift happens. It's almost like a new life chapter begins. And it's very fascinating for me to really understand what is the difference and how can we with consciousness actually create the energetic alignment we want in our lives, so we can go with our heart's desires and actually allow ourselves to be energetic coded in alignment with the life we want to experience in this lifetime. So for me, actually, to be very like nerdy and like a geek into how to actually do that. What does it mean? Like really going deep into, okay, so you want to speak eloquent? Okay, let's do that. Or you want to speak more? Okay, let's do that. Or you want to experience yourself like the shit? Okay, let's do that. You want to have more conviction and confidence? Okay, let's do that. Oh, you want to have less resistance to pain in your life and suffering? We want to remove that. Okay, let's do that. So everything, no matter what it is, there is codings for that, different kind of codings. I just love to really understand every tiny little bit. Also because we can develop ourselves, like the personal development stuff, but also we can also just shift.
Yeah. We can change our life path in a second. And the people who have never heard of this, it is so fascinating. You can change a couple things. And what she's saying is so detailed. You can literally decide, okay, I would like to experience this. And she has the ability to not only do it herself, but to teach you how, through some of her programs and courses, to change some letters in your name and be able to code things in or to remove things out. And the shifts are so quick. Some take time. I remember you saying that, but some of them can be instantaneous. I remember taking one of your courses and you were talking about how for some people, they'll try out a name, and then for others, they will commit immediately and go and legally change the document, change their driver's license, change whatever your country's documents are. And she's bilingual, by the way. She didn't used to speak English. Like, listen to her amazing English, which I love. We've actually had one of your clients on the podcast. We had Aviaya. And yes, and she was telling us her story, and she was like, I can't even tell you how much has changed since I changed my name. So you've worked with businesses that wanted to code things into their name. You've worked with, was it royalty, with people that wanted to name? Tell us a little bit about some of your favorite experiences as far as who you've worked with.
Okay. I have worked with so many different kind of people, and all kind of people on all kind of companies as well. Big, huge companies, like one of the biggest companies in the world, with the biggest in Denmark. I'm from Denmark. Single moms, and a lot of my clients, they are famous. So that's also a thing. And then I also work with royalties. And I just love all of it. For me, it's actually the variation I love most, because there is some similarities because we are all human. Right? So we are all just human beings. And the fascination about, why do you live the life you live? What made you live this specific kind of life? And of course, I use the name coding and birth design coding to actually understand that. And every time when I get a new client, and before I calculate their coding, sometimes you know a little bit if it's a famous person or anything like, then I have this thing like, you must have this code because otherwise you couldn't live that life experience.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't be famous without having this code. So let's see, it will be there. And every time it's there, right? So I'm just amazed by how the universe works. Like, I think it's actually kind of brilliant because it's almost like this best kept secret in the world. We can literally name code everything. And for me, it's like how the universe sync up with making this divine order of making sure there was some who want to work at the hospital, some who wants to work like in the music industry, some who wants to work with gardens. And that's almost, okay, we need different life paths. Yes. We need that. So it's almost like, how can God like higher forces, whatever it is, make sure that happens so everything is in synergy with each other? It has to be like coded somewhere. And for me, it's amazing how it's actually in the name.
I remember you had name coded Taylor Swift. What she's talking about is she has the ability to go look at someone famous, and with all that she has studied, she can kind of guess, okay, I'm betting these particular codes are in that person. A famous person who then uses like their stage name, and she can actually predict, okay, I'm betting that they have this code in the name, this code in the name, this code in the name. And then sure enough, when she runs the charts, it's in there. And I think that that's so absolutely mind-blowing for people that don't know about numerology or birth charts or anything to do with name coding. And then if you're listening, you can wonder if I have coding on this, or I wonder if I'm capable of recoding something into it.
Exactly. So maybe 2 weeks ago or something, I was talking with a music producer, and he's only producing music for other musicians. And he's a very good singer, like amazing good. And then I was just like, why don't you produce music yourself? And he was just like, yeah. And then later on in the conversation, I was calculating his coding, and then I could see immediately, oh, you have low self-esteem and conviction in yourself. So I was just like, you feel more confident with just hiding. You don't feel that, the conviction to stand on a stage and just own it, right? So I was talking with him about it, and he was just like, I actually see that. He had never thought about that, like it should have anything to do with it. Then I met him a few days ago, and he said, I've thought so many times about it since we talked, and I want to work with it. I want to like work with myself because I can actually feel like there is some music for me. Like I can do both. I can be music producer and make music. And I was just like, yeah, you can. So I just love also in the coaching part of it to look deep into what is there, right? And also if you struggle so much with low self-esteem, let's remove it then.
Yes. Like
it's a coding.
People realize that you can remove that. I remember when I was working with you, I was like, wait, I can just remove this, and we could put this in. I could actually try that out. And like she was saying, if you want to speak better and be more eloquent, if you want to be famous, and then if you want to be famous, you might need to code in some other things along with it, because famous comes along with other things. And then it's, do I want to be seen more? Do I want to have more presence? There's so many fascinating little details of who we already are based on our birth charts and birthdays, and then what our names were that we were given, or like you were saying, if you get married or change your name, or if you have a middle name or you don't. It is one of the most fascinating things to me ever. So what made you, tying back to the theme of the one, clearly you were so fascinated 17 years ago, and then you started to get into this, but I know there was a point where you really realized, I'm very, very good at this. What was it in you that realized, okay, I am the one to do this. This is my calling. This is where I'm at in life. Talk to me about your exploration of I am the one.
Okay, so before it was actually when I took the first numerology education. I was only taking the education because I was curious. I just found it fascinating. So it was not because I felt it was a calling. It was more like I felt there was something in it for me. And when I was there, then I felt the calling. I just felt like in my heart, my spirit, my bones, this is it. This is it. So that was me finding my calling. I could just feel it when I was in education. In that time, I didn't saw myself as the one to revolutionize the industry. Not at all. But I just felt the calling back then. And later on, after I got the first education, I want to test some things out because I haven't name coded myself. It was the numerologist that I took the education of back then. So let me try to do it myself. Of course, I want to give myself my own name. I'm a numerologist, right? So I could feel like immediately it was good, but I didn't like it that much. And that's the last one I had. So, okay, let me do it again. And when I did that again, the second time, I got the worst name coding ever. I didn't knew that. With all the information I had, it should be perfect, but it was totally off. Everything, I just got depressed. My boyfriend and I was splitting up, and I suddenly had no money, no job. Everything fell apart. I had to move back home to my mom. Everything fell apart, everything. And because of that, I was beginning to doubt the numerology because I was just like, was it placebo or what was it? Because I didn't know all the things and know now, right? But that, in hindsight, I can see that was a part of my experience of understanding I'm the one.
Yes.
I remember I had that name for 2 years, and those 2 years was some of the worst in my entire life. I had it. I felt it felt so bad. And then I just remember I was walking the dogs, and then somehow it was like in a split second, I just got this insight, this intuitive hit of change your name. And I could feel the resistance because everything, my life was just so bad, and it should be perfect with what I have been learned. I just felt it do that. And then when I come back home, I recoded my name and changed it. At first, I waited 3 months for the name approval because back then it took longer time. But from the day the name was approved and 2 weeks after, I earned my first million. So I was just like, what the fuck?
What? Yeah, it wasn't like a little thing. Oh, I earned $1,000 or I became happier. $1 million, like huge.
I was living like at my mom's place because I didn't have anything. I
feel bad because I'm laughing. I'm not laughing at your story, but as you're telling it, you're like, oh, and everything was so miserable for 2 years. And knowing you now, I'm like, I can't even imagine you like that. And the irony of I study numerology, not realizing I just coded all this shit into my name and made my life miserable. And I'm sticking with it for 2 years while it's miserable. And then boom, I get this intuitive hit. And what an absolutely mind-blowing testament to the power of that it takes 3 months to get approved, but then boom, within 2 weeks. And she's not, for all of those listening, she's not making money claims that if you change your name, you're going to make $1 million in 2 years. Let's just make a side note, disclaimer. All right, everyone. But how unbelievably mind-blowing is that? That's incredible.
It was. And when that happened, I felt like there was something more that I don't know about numerology. And I got my power back. I could feel it. It was almost like I didn't saw myself losing my power in the other name. But when I finally got my power back, it was like, oh, where have it been? So everything changed. My feelings, how I felt about myself, how I saw life, everything just changed. Boom. I could feel it because I couldn't understand it with what I knew about numerology back then. So that was actually when I felt like this is so insane. There has to be a purpose to this. There's something in it for me. There was something I don't know. There was something. Then I just sent the prayer out. Okay, God, higher forces, whatever it is, I'm ready. I want to understand the things I don't understand about numerology. There was some lacks around here and there, and there was something that was missing links. There was something we are missing here. So what are we really missing? Show me. Let me be a student now. Let me just learn it. And then a whole loop happened with A decade, I actually didn't see almost like anyone. I
Whoa.
saw my family and I got a new boyfriend and, stuff happened, but not seeing friends. I just, because I could feel like this is bigger than me.
You were immersed
So,
in mission. Yeah.
so much. And I actually felt like it was such a big experience. I could feel this is for the world. I'm making history. I could feel that. I could feel in
Oh.
my bones, I'm making history. And it's not about me and my name making history, but the system, the understanding of it is making history, because the ripple effect it will have on this world will be out of this world, right? So it
Uh-huh.
was just like I could feel this is history. This is history. So I have to stay the course, be on my lane, and just do all the things that is required to understand this deep, 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 deep. So I did, and it was 43 name shift after now I'm here, right?
43. Did you just say 43 names?
Yeah, and actually I think it's a little bit more, but yeah.
I love it. I love it. Okay. But just a second ago, I could really feel when you were saying that. And we had the exact same thought in our mind as you spoke it, which I really want people to hear. I want people to hear this part of her message for wherever you're at in your business and in your personal life right now. I feel like this is a really important part of your call, which is she was so clear that this could impact the world. And it was the thought of the ripple effect. I have been thinking about that a lot over the last few months. We can never, there is no possible way in anything that you do to understand the ripple effect of your impact. If you think about it, we'll just make up an example right now. So, if she were to work with royalty on helping to name the prince of a country, her work in naming that person helps that person embody his role so much that it could affect his leadership for a 50-year span of his lifetime, right? And that's not even her doing anything but helping with the name coding. But she was so dedicated to her work that in anyone who impacts her work, what they choose to shift into then literally changes who they are and then impacts every single person they interact with. I really hope that anyone who listens to this podcast or sees this YouTube, at the end of this, I hope you take a minute and think about, okay, in what I'm currently doing right now in my career, or the things on my heart and the person that I am today, what are the things that I could be doing that truly are having a ripple effect that I may never even know? And how can I magnify that? Because we are. You hear the stories of someone who was considering suicide and somebody's nice to them that day and then they don't choose to take their own lives. And literally that affects the rest of their life. They go on, they get married, they have kids. It can be the tiniest thing, or like she's chosen to do, it can be your life's work. And I think that's so important in our day to day. Is it possible that an interaction that I have, or is it possible that the things that are on my heart and the intuitive knowings that I'm getting have a ripple effect where there's going to be someone that I'm going to touch that they may need to have an impact on the world, and my interaction is going to influence that? There's something so important to this, and the ripple effect of it is beyond my comprehension. But I'm going to literally dedicate myself to this and then move forward with it.
Sometimes when it hit you, you just feel it. You just feel it, right? And for me, it was like written in the stars almost. It was because it couldn't be any different. I'm very devoted to what I'm doing. And actually, in all the research mode I have been in and will continue for the rest of my life to understand the tiny, tiny shifts that ripples affect everything. Like, I have had name coded myself sometimes after I understood like wealth codes and feeling good codes. I have fulfillment codes, everything. After I did know what's the coding for that, then I have tried to remove it to experience, do we need them or can we just have them? And I have experienced removing some of all the good codes and then went bankrupt So I have been willing to really embody this in a way where it has had a huge consequence on my own life.
Yeah.
To really understand the coding. In order to go that extreme, everything has been about, it actually doesn't matter if I die, because it's bigger than me. My purpose will be fulfilled no matter what. Of course, I'm not about that, but really coming that deep into my knowing about what I'm doing, it's not about me, but I'm using my life to make everything about my life about the world. And that's the ultimate surrendering into our mission, our purpose, for how I experience it, right?
Yes.
So for me, really understanding also the flip side of the coding and what it feels like to actually not having the codes that is most beneficial in the society we're having. Like if you're not having any good money codes, it's like you're stuck, right? So really experiencing that has been quite huge actually on my own life, and to actually recode stuff again and see how fast it changes again and see how fast we can shift anything.
There are so many important messages inside this because I'm loving talking about name coding, and yet everything you're saying is applicable to everything everybody does. You have a level of dedication. That's what I hope people understand. She's so dedicated to her work that she has recoded her own name over 40 times, probably closer to 50, to literally code things in to experience them, and then removed coding to experience them so that she could understand what it's like to live on both sides. And then when you're going through those challenging times, to be able to take the lesson from it and be able to see, okay, those challenging times, which some of them she chose to code in, not knowing the full impact in her own life, codes it in and then experiences it, and then has the ability to understand, oh, this is what it's like to live this. And I loved when you were saying it wouldn't even matter. This work is so much bigger than me. And yet, you personally have chosen to make such an impact on this work because you took different modalities and immersed yourself into them, dedicated your life to them for about 10 years and longer. And then you took all of these and remastered and created what you have. And I think that's another message for people too. If you look around at things that you're very passionate about, it doesn't mean you have to reinvent the wheel, but you take these pieces, study those, and I'm betting that there's something intuitively that your gifts are meant to add to them. So yeah, it does matter because you've created a system that elevated the elements that already existed. So your system has a whole new level of impact. And then who you are, I think that's key too, because I've seen your heart and I know you are just pure love. Like you, I could never teach it the way you do. It is who you are. It's how you have embodied it, but bringing it in combination with your heart makes it so it is so much more impactful. I have no doubt that's why it's gone as far as it's gone and reached as many people as it's reached. And I'm hoping that the people that hear this and see this understand, okay, I have a calling in my soul. I have something I'm passionate about, and it's coming to me because of my heart. And the way I'm going to deliver it to the world will have its own forever lasting impact. I've heard of numerology forever, and it never seemed to stick with me, or it didn't catch me the way it was until I met you. And it was who you were that made me interested in it. It was her personality. It was who you were, the way you lit up. Huh, I like her. Who is she? What? And then, wait, what is name coding? So I think that's key too. It is who you are.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you so much. That has a lot of to do with it. And when you Google numerology, every time you just try to do it, if I Google numerology, I got embarrassed. I think it's like sucks. Like, so every time people say, can you refer me a book? No, because it's just not it for me. So what I do is based in numerology, but it's not exactly numerology. If you Google numerology, so many different things will come up. So it's birthed from numerology, but it's almost like human design has astrology, like I Ching, everything. It's a combination of different things, and it's the same with this one. But what I loved about your message is the whole purpose thing, the whole mission thing. Everyone has a calling, and that's actually exactly what I have this burning desire for as well with the birth design coding within our birthday. So really understanding our mission, the vision God has for us, like what is our true calling, what does it look like to embody it, and who are you actually? Who do you came here to be? So that's the whole birthday coding experience. And then we added with name coding if you want to. So I just find it fascinating to work with both. And the birth coding is also purely based on calculation from your birthday. So it has nothing to do with astrology. It has nothing to do with human design or gene keys or anything. It's in this system I have crafted here. So it's really understanding all the things, because for me, everyone has a calling. We all have a calling, and we are not meant to do and be the same. Not at all, actually. Not at all.
I believe for some of us, I know through my own personal development, in my 30s, my calling was different than my 40s. My 40s, my calling was different than my 50s. The threads have remained the same. But I think for me, I can look back and I can see as I grew in confidence, I was one of those people who did numerous different careers. It was just being a Manny Gen, which has nothing to do with this. But I was one who wanted to experiment with a lot of things and live a lot of things. But underneath it all, my whole calling was I wanted to help people. I wanted to love people. I wanted people to really see who they were. And I love that. But I've also met people that they've been so clear since a very young age. This is my calling. This is what I'm meant to do. And they've dedicated their whole lives to that. And I've envied that in some ways. So talk about the different arms of your work, and then tell us how people can find you and how they can work with you.
Okay, so they can find me on social media, Instagram, Micela Mabel, and also Facebook, Micela Mabel. And so that's where you can find me. I see what I do is like a trifecta. It's like we have the birth design with our birthday coding. Who are you? What are you meant for in this lifetime? Your alignment or misalignment, you at your core, and all the themes you are here to embody and learn throughout the lifetime. It's also the life lessons you have signed up to in this lifetime, everything in your birthday coding. So that's one part. Then we have the name coding part, which also could be company coding. Who do you become in this lifetime? That is who you are, and who you become is your name coding. The evolution of you is in your name coding, the path you are walking, the self-expression, how you feel about yourself, your mindset, your whole approach to life, your patterns in life, all the things, your relationships. And so we can see all that crap or beautiful things in the name coding part as well. And then I also do the forecast part, where it's a calculation that is a combination between the birthday and the name coding, where when we calculate, for example, this year is 2025. So when we look at, it could be you, Lisa, if we look at your forecast for 2025, I would use some numbers from 2025 because it's 2025. I would use some numbers from your birthday, and I would use some numbers from your name, the name coding, its numbers as well. That combination of it, and there is this whole, it's almost like this kaleidoscope opening up, really looking at what is the themes for you this year, what are you going through from week to week. You see everything, and we can also do that with companies as well. So that's why I love with the company coding, code the name so the forecast is potent, so the growth happening these upcoming years, so we can see this growth and not bankruptcy. Where are we going? Where are we heading? So that's the trifecta of it. And we don't need to, in my world, you don't need to work with all of it. It's more like you can shove in and out, because I do really believe it's not for all changing their name. Yes. But I do believe it's for many more people. It's the prayer. It's almost like the answer to the prayer for many people, but they don't know it yet. And so it's a job to expand it to the world, but also like people are afraid of changing their name, and what would happen, and what would the family and everything, what will other people say? Until people are ready, they can just jump right in and experience the birth design as well.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you feel called to in my world.
It makes perfect sense. I had written that down. So with the birth coding, the birth charts is who you are. So if you want to understand that, come to her to understand who you are and who you've been. And then with the name coding, it's who you become and the way you teach it. I had considered I wanted to change my name, but I didn't want to change my last name because it comes from my parents and I have emotional attachments to it. And I wasn't sure I wanted to change my first name. So I was experimenting, but I was really open to changing my middle name. And so I was testing out some middle names, and the ones I was testing out, the coding was not good. So it was so fun for me because I thought, oh, this would be such a fun middle name. No, the coding was not good on that. So I was like, we'll rethink that. And then with the forecasting, that you can take these two elements and you can actually see the forecasting, and had not even thought to really focus on and mention, if you have an existing business, she works with businesses and corporations. And if you are about to start a business, how smart it would be to consider the name coding of the business you're considering. For those that have online brands, oh, okay, I'm thinking this is a great online brand for me. Maybe I should actually look into the coding of this name. I am a firm believer that people will come across you at the right time, and you have all different pricing and you have all different options. So it's not like you have to have tons of money to come to her and be like, fix my whole life, which she won't do, but she can help you to see where we could make some adjustments. And then she does do specialty name coding, birth charts, like help you handle it. Because the client that we had on, she actually came to you and said, okay, pick a name for me. And you had some options for her and worked with her on that. I've loved her story. I loved watching that. So then now you can do all sorts of things with you. You have all sorts of options.
Exactly. I do that. And actually, I have also just recoded the company name for me. I actually do that once a year because I want it, not that we have to, but I do it because why not? I want the best forecast for this year. And if it can be better, if it's not the brand name, it's only the legal registered name in the official system. So it's, for me, the name could be anything.
That's key for people that just heard that. You don't have to go and change every element of the name. So there could be a difference between the legal name and the brand name. Just like we were talking about earlier, there's different options with changing your legal name / your stage name, like if you have a brand stage name. And that's what's so interesting to me, is there's different options and you can shift the tiniest things, or you can do what you're doing. You're so open to change. I've never met a person who's so willing to change the name this year, and I'll change the name, and I'll change the name, and I'll change the name, and I'll try this coding, and I'll even build in coding that could be potentially negative. I really admired that when you had put coding into your name so that you could relate to your clients, to things they had been through that you hadn't ever experienced. And I thought, that's true immersion in your work. Like, that is a dedication to clients in a way that I'd never understood. And you have such a curiosity. Let's try this out. Okay, I'm willing to try it out. I'm going to do it on myself first. And then your wisdom in, I'm going to experiment with this with my business and experiment with that. But you have such a solid, like, you can't change the way the universe or God has created these numbers. It's not like you're just making up a little soup and throwing shit in there. Like, there's actually truth to the systems that exist, and then the one that you've created with all of them together.
Exactly. It's almost like what I think is, it could be beneficial to understand as well. Each number, it's a frequency. It's whole frequency. So the thing you were just sharing, that being so open to change, about being so curious, have so much curiosity, and all the things you just described about me, is number 13. And I have that in my birthday. It's one of the biggest, it's the number I have the most in my birth design. And what I do love is, with all the frequencies, no matter if it's the birth design or it's the name coding or the forecast, it's a full spectrum of a frequency. So in order to being very open to change, you need to be very curious. And be adventurous. And there is like, the grass is greener on the other side. There has to be something let's test that, let's try that. There were so many layers to every frequency. Number 13, all these things, you very often you recognize patterns that no one else does. You just see it. You just have this pattern recognition. And that's what I'm doing with this. I'm just right, dived into all the patterns of it. And it's also a coding where there is less worry. There's not less to worry about, but it's
Yeah.
more like no matter what, you're not a worried kind of person. So
Yes.
it's almost like a full spectrum of a frequency
Mhm.
where it's so many different aspects in one frequency.
I
And
love
if you want one aspect of it, you get the whole of it. We cannot remove, we get the whole thing.
you get the whole. So you got to be prepared for that, which can be, it can be a little intimidating, and yet it can also be wildly exciting because you get the one, you get the whole, or you get the one, you get the whole,
Exactly, exactly. So
the
that's the
whole
thing.
frequency.
So
Mm.
yeah, it's a full frequency. So it's not just, okay, when we remove self-doubt, we do that, but we also remove the good parts of it, right?
Mhm.
So it's also, we remove all this. When we remove the frequency, it's not there. It's
Yeah.
almost like you cannot access it anymore. It's just removed. It's deleted. It's almost like you never had it. So it's so interesting. You get the full frequency or we remove the full frequency. And depending on the placement, where it is in your name or in your birthday, it affects different
Yes.
aspects of life, but it's still a full frequency. So I love to understand also that really understanding the spiritual laws. For me, it's like a spiritual principle. Each number, it's like a domain of, this is a universal law. There is a universal law,
Yeah.
like paragraph 11. This is
Yeah. Yep. There's
so if you want 11, 11 is one of the numbers where there is most wealth to it.
Mhm.
There's so much wealth to it. And it's also one of the numbers where there is so much around flip sides, duality, all the things where every time you declare something, the opposite happens, right? So all the flip side, all the duality and the wealth. So you cannot say, oh, I just want the one thing. No, you get the whole thing, right? So
And this is why it's so important to work with someone who knows what they're doing, because it is the full spectrum of the frequency. And you know the numbers inside and out. So you can think that you want one desire, but we have no idea what that full frequency of each number is. What the vast experience will be if you remove something or if you add something in, that there is the duality in both. So it's vital if you want to take this seriously and impact it into your life, or look at the birth chart and the name coding and then do the forecasting, to really be with someone who understands it inside and out so they can tell you, I don't want to say the positive and the negatives, but the full spectrum of everything that is available that you're choosing or that you're choosing to remove. You just can't experiment. You can, but I wouldn't advise just like testing a few things out on your own because you have no idea what's coming, which could be good and could be not necessarily bad, but an experience. The easiest and best ways to find you are Instagram and Facebook, all over social media. I mean, it's not like you wouldn't recognize her cute face, even if she changes her name. And if you can't find her, let's say by chance you couldn't, come find me because we will always be friends and I will always be connected to you. I highly, highly recommend you. Okay, my favorite question to ask at the end as we wrap up is, at this point right now, what you're feeling and what you're feeling for your future. I am the one who.
oh, I could answer so many things to that. I would actually go with what I have already said. I'm the one who's making history.
That is my favorite answer to date. I am the one who is making history.
That's actually what I feel the most about my work. So it has to be the answer. It has to be. And it feels so, sometimes it feels so like, where's the humility? But it's almost like, it's not me. I'm just a vessel for it. It's not me. It's nothing about me. I have burned everything to the ground in the same system. So it's not about that. But I feel this system is not something that where it's just for fun. It's like universal law system. So for me, it's history. And I
Yeah.
think the world is ready for it.
Oh, absolutely. I hope anyone who comes across this comes and looks for you, actually checks into it. And I also feel on a broad spectrum, one of my beliefs in my work is that, like in the one woman, it is make your mark, leave your legacy. And you are creating history. No matter how small your impact is, you're making a mark in history. And for some of us, that impact is going to be bigger and broader. But think about the most famous artists out there become more famous after they die. Their work becomes more valuable because it becomes priceless. It can't be replicated. So there are possibilities that what you are doing right now is making a mark in history and you don't even know it. But if you dedicate your life to it, and if you give it that love and that immersion and that absolute dedication to what she's doing, she knows she's making history. And I think all of us have that opportunity. I love that you can embody it. And yes, there was no arrogance in that whatsoever. You're so humble about it. And yet it's the truth. The truth is you are making history. And I'm so grateful I know you. And I loved every minute of this. Thank you for being who you are. And thank you for the work that you have brought to the world, because I truly do see how it has such an ability to bless millions of people's lives. Grateful to be a part of it and to see you watch this, see what happens. And I really hope that this spreads far and wide so that more people have the ability to look at their own lives differently and make some changes to really embody who they are and then build in whatever they want going forward.
Thank you so much. It was such an honor to be here.
Oh, I love it. All right. We will see you again soon.